This is my first attempt at making a gear leg, making it as far as shaping it, I should say. And here is the finished product. I think it came out fine. I don't know if it's my best piece of woodwork, but I think it came out pretty nice. Since this is the first attempt, I'm assuming I can do a little bit better with the other three. However, if I don't, if they come out to be this good, I will be very pleased. So I just thought I'd get this on a little bit of video here. But there it is, my first leg finished, and moving on to the other three. This is a gear leg that I'm just now getting ready to shape into the airfoil shape on the main part of the leg. What I've done with the gear legs bolted onto the fuselage, I've marked where the metal fittings stop. So the metal fitting obviously gets bolted here, and this line represents where the edge of that metal fitting is. I've done that on both sides. And then I went ahead and connected them across the edges of the wood here and here. So I just connected these lines front and back with the line across these smaller faces here. And then I went ahead and drew a line down the length of the leg, center of this width on both sides. And what that line does, that's just a guideline, so when I start shaping this, I can have it come down evenly on both sides. I won't have this side come way down here and this side hardly come down at all. So this is just a reference line to keep everything symmetrical on both sides. So now that I have that, I think I'll set up a tripod and videotape the actual process I use to get this shaped. Okay, so I'm just about ready to start shaping. What I've got here is a small drum sander attached obviously to my drill press. This is a very coarse drum that I've got on here that I start with, and then when I get the shape close to the way that I want it, I'll switch over to this little bit finer type of a drum to finish it off a little nicer, and then of course I'll hand sand it for the final sanding. So I start with this coarse one, and I've got to get my dust mask and eye protection and all that put on and get my dust collection stuff turned on. So let me do that, and then I'll start actually shaping the gear leg. So there it is. This is gear leg number 2. And basically what I was trying to point out in the video clips is that you obviously start out with the rough drum. And you keep whittling it down on both sides, front and back, left and right, up and down, in and out, until you get the general shape you want. Then you switch over to this little bit smoother one, and you can fine tune it a little bit better with that. And then I use the really rough, I think it's 50 grit sandpaper, and take it down a little bit further by hand, and then use the 120 to do the final sanding, which is pretty much what you see here. Running your hands along the length of it, you can tell that it's pretty darn close for doing it by hand. You can feel a little bit here and there, just some waves, but it's nothing. It's hardly anything really. And I was trying to point out, you try to keep that pencil line on your edges as long as you can without sanding them off, and use them as a guide, so you can bring this in and bring this in toward the pencil line and keep it even. That way you know that this edge, when it's done, is down the center of the wood. And the same with this leading edge. When it's finished, it will be down the center line of the wood. It won't be wavy. I was trying to point out I drew arrows on the ends, and the arrows just remind me which edge of the wood is the leading edge, because obviously you don't want to get to this point and then find out that you did it backwards, and this should be the leading edge and this should be the trailing edge. So I just mark an arrow pointing towards the leading edge. That way I know as I'm doing it on the wheel or on the drum that this is the leading edge, this is the trailing edge. And then of course when you're all done, you sand all your reference lines off and smooth it out. Alright, so there it is. And I'm going to move on to the other side after taking a break. My arms are tired from all the sanding.